26th. It's the day before Thanksgiving. So I suggest you go walk, run, bike, exercise, because you are about to consume a lot of food. Cousin Eddie's on his way. I saw his RV on I-40. He's heading in your direction, and he's hungry, and he's got lots of people with him. Look, got a great lineup today. First off, let me say this. Take a picture with your phone of the QR code. We are live broadcasting, streaming, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, okay? Watching it live is the most fun, but if you can't watch it live, watch it at your leisure, okay? Remember, share us and like us. It is so important that you do that.
We like you.
We love you. And put your comments on here. I think the question today is, if you have a to-do list by your bedside every night when you go to bed, let us know. And I love people when they interact with the comments wherever you're watching. I know Max Howell always watches this on Facebook. Maury Gaston's a Facebook guy. There's a lot of Facebook people out there. It is a huge platform. Kevin Scarbinsky, Scarbo Knows, joins us. If you hadn't seen his podcast, it's one of the best you'll ever see. It's on this channel. He does a couple of them every week. Oakley McFerrin, the intern, sophomore on the plains of Auburn. He's with us. And Dudley Dawson, Inside Arkansas, and Vince Ferrara, the sports animal in Knoxville, will join us, both of them, in the second half of the show, okay? So let's get started. Kevin, there's a lot of coach searches going on right now. We got the top 25 CFP rankings came out last night. And, you know, let's talk about there's been some movement as Jack Crystal, the legendary voice of the Mississippi State Bulldogs, Kevin, and I'm sure you heard him driving around at night all those years covering football, and you still do. There's been movement in the aisles here at Scott Field in Starkville, Mississippi. Oregon jumping Ole Miss. That's just a starter from that weird TV show that kind of looks like the dating game with Bob Eubanks, the CFP rankings.
Yeah, they didn't improve. You know, we've talked about before, Rob, how when schools fire a coach and they put an interim guy in and they get an initial bounce, you know, there's a new enthusiasm, a fresh feeling. The players probably are a little embarrassed that they didn't perform well enough. Their coach got fired, and they, at least for a week or so, they come out and they play better. Well, first of all, by the way, SEC interim coaches this year, you know what their record is in conference games? 1-12. 1-12, and the only win is LSU with its interim coach over Arkansas with its interim coach. So maybe firing your coach mid-season is not really the best formula for improving that season. But this interim chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee, Hunter Yurachek, the Arkansas athletic director, has taken interim performance to a new low. He probably ended the 6-7 trend. With that cringy moment last night when. Wait
a minute! Did you just go 6-7 and cringe at the same time?
I did. Hey, listen, I gotta say,
no cap from Scarbo, bro. No.
Yeah,
cap.
But listen, Brendan, listen. If you're a basketball, especially you've seen this with women's basketball games, and they have these education days, and they invite middle school kids, elementary school kids, and there's nobody else in the gym. It's 3:00 in the afternoon, and in November, and when they get to 67 points and those kids go wild, that's a cool thing. You got to admit, that's kind of fun. But Hunter Yurachek, the real key, though, and that's just trying to be cute and funny, but the question that Reese Davis asked him, have they discussed what to do with Ole Miss if Lane Kiffin doesn't coach the playoff? If after the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss is in the playoff, but Lane Kiffin decides he's going to LSU or he's going to Florida, and Ole Miss says, see ya, and they have an interim coach, will that affect their ranking? And Hunter Yurachek didn't answer the question. Well, he did say they hadn't discussed it yet because they don't have to discuss it yet because it hasn't happened. But that's something to keep an eye on going forward. And it was not a good sign for Ole Miss that they fell behind Oregon last week, which doesn't make any sense. Oregon's best win now is over USC, which is what now, 17 or so in the rankings. Meanwhile, what's Ole Miss's best win? At Oklahoma, which is in the top 10. So why would you jump Oregon over Ole Miss? And here's the real key, guys. What this means to Ole Miss, you slip another couple of spots, and guess what? you're not playing a home game in the first round of the playoffs. And how important would it be to the Oxford community in the state of Mississippi to have a home playoff game? That's what Lane Kiffin is potentially messing with.
And he's really burning up all the goodwill that he's generated in his 6 years coaching at Ole Miss. You go back and you look, I mean, in 2007, when Tommy Tuberville was allegedly flirting with Arkansas, and he was over, I think, duck hunting, maybe with David Griffith around Helena down in the Delta, 70,000 acres of cotton some years. That man is stronger than, boy, he's strong. Look, that wasn't a good look. I remember when he flew back into Auburn, a friend of mine whose father was a legendary coach at Auburn, remember they went down to the little hangar. They didn't go to the main place where you land at Auburn International Airport. The Savannah, it just didn't look good. And then in 2008, Tony Franklin mysteriously was hired as offensive coordinator at Auburn. And after the Vanderbilt game, I was there with my kids, and Vanderbilt beat Auburn 14-13. I told Hallie Wilson and Max, I said, somebody's going to lose their job before they pull out of the parking lot, because Auburn hadn't lost to Vanderbilt at that time since 1955. Of course, I wasn't around. My dad was there. His first year in the Army after graduating from Auburn, Vanderbilt beat Auburn 25-13 in the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. Guys, this is strange. This is strange what is happening right now. But Hunter, you're a check. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think what's important to understand, I heard this, I hear so much anymore. I don't even know who said it anymore, but somebody was talking on our show, I think it was last night, and they were just talking about all of this, this is how it used to be. Tradition is great. It's part of who we are. It's part of the SEC. And this is really, Oakley can comment here. It's just, but things have drastically changed at the level of the student, at the level of the student athlete. All these things have changed quite a bit, right? Everybody wants Lane Kiffin because Lane can relate, right? Lane knows how to be cool. And I think Lane can relate to the new athlete who's making money, right? There's a part of this is that you have to be a mentor to the students and the athletes who are on your team based upon their current living or life situation. Well, now you can relate. You got to show these young men, how do you act when you have some money in the bank? How do you act when you do these things? Because your integrity matters. Your bank account doesn't speak for you. This will follow you, right? This matters. Dear Lane Kiffin, you've been doing this shit for too long. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Because you had a chance. Look, man, I'm 51. I had to hang it up. I had to do the party. I had to close it down. I had to take care of business, become a father, all those things. Good for you, bro. I'm glad. But here's the deal. Don't mess it up now, man, because it matters. Yeah. It matters right now, because I don't care how much money you're going to have. Ask Urban Meyer how he liked being run out of Florida. He didn't like it at all. And so much so he wanted to be a part of Swamp Kings and make a difference and change that perspective. It matters what happens when you're gone. And I just think, man, you had a real shot, because 4 years ago, the team offering you $90 million didn't even want to sniff you. So it just really is unfortunate on many levels, because as a mentor, he's failing his players in a lot of ways, because he's not showing them how to act when you're on top or when you have a little ching or whatever it may be. He has a audience and he's sort of missing it. And I'm disappointed that he did that in a lot of ways. And I'm sort of really getting off the Lane train as far as I'm concerned, because I don't want that shit in my house.
Yeah. And I think that he is, he's the narcissist.
Drink. Come on. You're up, baby. Come on, Drinkwitz.
All right, hold on a second. Let me. I'm gonna jump on this train that Brendan just launched down the tracks. Lane Kiffin is different. Lane Kiffin is more mature. Lane Kiffin has grown up. Lane Kiffin stopped drinking. Lane Kiffin has lost weight. Lane Kiffin does hot yoga. Lane Kiffin stayed in Oxford instead of going to Auburn because his daughter tugged on his heartstrings. He's all about family now. His whole family has moved to Oxford. Why would you leave that? Why would you think about leaving that? You've got a team headed to the playoffs. If he is indeed the new version of Lane Kiffin 12.0, and he is a more mature person than he's ever been, he wouldn't be doing this. He wouldn't be putting Ole Miss through this during the greatest season in Ole Miss history since I was about 1 or 2 years old in the early 60s, okay?
Yep.
So
Yep.
makes me think all this image polishing, the E60, the Ryan McGee fawning piece on Lane Kiffin was a lie. That Lane Kiffin has not changed. And fundamentally, he is the same person he's always been. He's the same person that forced Nick Saban to make the most drastic move we've ever seen a week before a national championship game and kick his offensive coordinator to the curb because he'd already accepted another job at Florida Atlantic, and he wasn't mature enough to do both jobs through the national championship game.
Let me say this. Yeah. And before I go to Oakley, I've learned this about people in life. Zebras don't change their stripes, just their watering holes. Oak.
Yeah, I mean, Lane, at the end of the day, Lane Kiffin is someone who he's a narcissist. He wants all the attention on him. He doesn't care who it's affecting. And in the meantime, not only is he screwing over Ole Miss fans, he's screwing these student athletes, which, I mean, Nick Saban, I think, hit it perfectly on game day. It's just so unfair to these student athletes. You're 10-1. You're going to the rivalry week, and you have to worry about, is my coach going to be there tomorrow? When you should be focused on winning a national championship. And even if he stays, I think it's still that ill will is still going to be in the hearts of Ole Miss fans because you could have shut this down weeks ago. I mean, weeks ago, and now they can't even enjoy their 10-1, possibly 11-1 season.
Well,
yeah.
And he has. Let's be honest, guys. He has all the information he needs to make a decision. He's had it for some time. Brendan and Gatorbait Media reported, how long ago was that now? The offer that Florida was put forth.
A month ago.
Before anybody, a long time ago.
But by the way, Kevin, you would think everyone said that we reported that he took the deal and that he's on his way to Florida, which
That's not what you reported. No.
Never, ever reported that.
No, you reported the
shots and stuff. I've been in this game long enough to where I'm unaffected. Keep jawing, but we're telling you the truth. So this.
I got a call from a coach. I got a call from a coach anonymously who watches the show every day. I've known for 32 years. And I got Brendan on the phone. I said, I want you to
not
hear
just a coach either, by the way. So.
Yeah, he ain't just a coach. And he's a good friend, and I love him. And I said, Brendan, I want you to hear this. And then we got Buddy involved. You've got to trust but verify.
Friends involved. Like we did it the right way. We verified. We doubled our source. We had a second source. We verified that. I verified with the second person with Rob, and then I had a professional journalist and Franz Beard write it based off of what was said. And then we double checked it with Buddy Martin, who has broken plenty of stories in his time. And we did this exactly by the book. And guess what? The narrative nationally changed right after that story because we broke the story. And it started a lot of this. And I'm not saying we started it, but I think that, Jimmy Sexton started jawing probably. Yeah. And I just think that in a lot of ways, I don't fault Lane Kiffin for wanting to take a job. I wouldn't have faulted him all the way till about a week ago.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, dude, you could have just made this okay. I don't think your team would have faulted you. I don't think anyone would have faulted you. I just feel like it's one of those things that blew up in your face. It felt like almost a publicity stunt to some, maybe at first, that kind of turned into, holy crap, we could make $90 million. And it's like, who knows what the intricacies of the whole thing is? We'll never, ever know what happened or whatever does happen. But I just felt like for your own team, you screwed down because that makes everyone uncomfortable, right? Because now you got to answer for the like it's perfect timing, right? Thanksgiving. It's like, well, here's the cousin. He's little, but it's like you got to answer for this guy, and you don't have an answer for your head coach that you're paying millions of dollars. I think out of respect for your own school, you should answer that. Plus, you have some respectable other offers on the table. I just don't understand at this point when it gets this fever pitch and it's obviously doing damage. Why wouldn't you just opt out and say, okay, I'm going to do the right thing now? I don't get it.
Yeah, just get it over with. And it's always going to be about the money. And Kevin, I can tell you, and talking with Buddy and Brendan and Franz on the story, Buddy would tear your head off, as you know, as an editor and the sports editor of the New York Daily News, the Denver Post. I'm sure when you went to Alf Van Hoos or Charles Hollis or any of your mentors, and you had a story, and it was a pretty big story on whoever, they were like, son, You better get that one right, didn't they? It's not like you can't just throw stuff out there and hope it sticks
You're
against
not
the wall.
talking. Kevin Scarbinsky is one of the most, is
Yeah.
a very decorated journalist himself. So,
Well,
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
that Brendan,
You've been doing it a while.
everybody that Brendan mentioned, including himself, his dad, friends, et cetera, those are longtime professionals. And that's why I knew the story. If I see where the story's coming from, I know if it's right because I trust
And you
certain
have to
people.
be,
You have to, and that's why it's harder than ever to be a media consumer because there are more people who call themselves media members, and you have to be more discerning than ever about who you trust and who you know is plugged in, who you know vets information properly. And I can relate the search for Nick Saban at Alabama. I reported a week before they fired Mike Shula that they wanted to hire Nick Saban, or he was on their radar. He was the top of their radar, and Jimmy Sexton denounced me publicly. Everybody laughed. Alabama can't hire Nick Saban. Nick Saban's in the NFL. He's not coming back to college. He's certainly not coming back to that what was then a dumpster fire at Alabama. There was no way that's happening. And then, of course, they did the off-road to Rich Rodriguez, and that blew up. And I immediately reported the next day that Saban's people told Alabama's people he wanted the job, and people said, "Oh, that's not true." And then when he said, "Oh, I'm not going to be the next coach at Alabama," see, Scarborough, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I said, "Okay, we'll see." I just kept shaking my head. I kept checking my sources, and they said, "No, he wants the job." And I have never walked into a press conference with a bigger smile on my face than when Alabama introduced Nick Saban as head coach, because I had great sources and I trusted them and they trusted me. And I can't tell you how many times my editor said, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? You're putting the whole reputation of the Birmingham News and AL.com on the line here." I said,
Yep.
Trust me.
Yeah.
And they did, thankfully. And we got it right. So that's I go back to with Lane Kiffin. Last week was the perfect time, right? It was an open week. They didn't play last Saturday. That's when he should have made his decision. And if that meant leaving Ole Miss that moment, so be it. If you've decided that there's a better position for you for whatever reason, and it is within the same league against teams you will be playing going forward, then so what? But he could have made that decision and should have made that decision last week. There's no way it should have extended into this week.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of people that want to say they're part of the media. We actually had somebody on the city council in Memphis about 10 to 15 years ago, legally had their name changed to DR period and their first name. And they were not a medical doctor. They were not a doctor of any kind. That's what you get a lot of right now. Well, I'm a member of the media. I'm a doctor. I tell you, one of the saddest things I ever saw was there was a great orthopedic surgeon I knew very well. He operated on everybody in my family except me. But one time he was working out in the fitness room at our club in Memphis, and the trainer went over there and tried to tell him, "Well, you shouldn't do that. It's not good for you." And he goes, "Son, God, or chief orthopedic surgeon, you just got to be careful who you're talking to. Not everybody's, dumb." And Oakley, one of the things you'll learn from Kevin and Brendan, me, and everybody, you may have someone tell you a story and it's complete BS. As Dave Bartu says on this show, 99% of what you see out there in social media is fabricated. And Brendan will tell you about AI. So as a young consumer, a 20-year-old lad, a sophomore at Auburn, wants to get in this business and you're going to do great at it, what do you do when you look at social media? Do you assume it's the gospel truth, or do you question, kind of trust but verify?
No, I mean, I think it's the same as anything you see on the internet. I mean,
yeah,
like you said, probably over 50% of the stuff you see is fake on social media. So I think you can always tell by who's coming out with the information. You trust certain websites like an AL.com. I know they're not going to spit out something that's false. So, I mean, I think it just look at the source producing it, and you can tell if it's true or false information majority of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the
Kevin,
danger. And this is, you guys all know this, and Oakley, you're learning it. We can get things wrong. Let me rephrase that. We can't get things wrong. We make predictions, we're incorrect. That's just human nature. That's going to happen. But you can be right when you publish a story, and things can change quickly. This was more of a hazard in the newspaper days when you submitted at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, and then the printing presses start rolling and you can't change it before it comes out the next morning. And during that Saban search at Alabama, when they took that off ramp toward Rich Rod, because certain power brokers at Alabama got nervous. What if we wait for Saban? And he says no, because he's not coming until after the NFL season is over in January. And so they had a deal in principle with Rich Rodriguez. His attorney was in Tuscaloosa on a Thursday night. And our beat writer at the time, you might recognize him from the NFL Network, Ian Rappaport. He was the Alabama beat writer for the Birmingham News and AL.com at the time. He reported, and the headline said in that Friday morning's paper, Rich Rodriguez in Alabama agreed to a deal in principle for him to be the next Alabama coach. That was absolutely right. And by the time the papers hit the streets, everything had changed. So it turned out being wrong. But when it was written, it was right. And things changed. And things changed rapidly in coaching searches.
Yeah. And I want to ask you this too. There's the national media guys, the flyovers, and then there's the local. And when Brendan and I were putting everything together, a year and a half ago, Brendan's big mantra was drill down local, which I love. I mean, you fly from New York to LA and it's flyover country. That's an overused term, but it's true. We know it is. I have 16 schools that we cover on this show. It's like a father. I got 16 kids. I got people at every school, multiple people. And then I always say, well, if the local people aren't saying this, why is some national guy going to do it? I'm not criticizing him, but by the way, Ross Dellinger's from Biloxi or Pascagoula. He's a Mississippi guy. He's got great sources. Do you know Ross, Kevin? I mean, I'm trying to get him on the show. He usually flies on the days, but I'm trying to get him on Fridays. But he says he's going to come on. But Hartwell knows him pretty well. But
yeah, I don't know Ross personally, but he's a good journalist. He's a proven journalist.
He is.
And he local. I'm glad to hear you say that, Robin. You certainly have demonstrated that. You guys, Brendan as well, have demonstrated your affinity and your understanding that local guys are the ones doing the hard work. They're the ones shoveling the coal every day, keeping the heat on. Yeah. They're the ones developing the sources. They're the ones that know these true stories on the ground. And they're good reporters nationally. But I can tell you there are certain guys, in fact, and I don't want to say his name because he's a friend and I think he's a really good journalist. But if I see a story by him, I think it should be a double byline by him and Jimmy Sexton. That's how plugged in he is to Jimmy Sexton. Because
we won't name names.
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing because you want to have relationships with the agents for these guys, but you have to understand the agents have an agenda.
Yeah. By the way, last Saturday morning, I'm watching. I love Marty Smith. I think he's really cool. I like him. I had him on the show one time back in the early summer, and he did a piece on Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. And I texted him and said, Marty, it's one of the best pieces you've ever done. You are so damn authentic, and it comes through loud and clear. Because, he's from up around Smith Mountain, Blacksburg, Virginia. Grew up really close friends with Shane Beamer, NASCAR. He's just every man, And he fired right back and said, man, that means the world to me. Thank you so much. He actually cared, And that was funny when he came on the show. Brendan remembers this. I tried to get him on, and he piped in about 10 minutes into the show. He goes, hey, sorry, I've been up all night, just landed. You got room for me on the show? I said, hell yeah, come on in here. That's, you know what? He's every man, and that's cool. Oakley, when you heard what Kevin just said, and I'm talking about Marty Smith and all, who are the guys nationally that you look at? Because the local guys, you're right. They're like the infantrymen. The Marine commandant comes out on the field after a battle, 4-star general, and talks to all the grunts, the devil dogs and all. Who he wants to talk to the most are the NCOs, sergeant major, first sergeant, staff sergeant. That's your local guys that bust their ass. I can tell you, Kevin has sat in the room smoking a cigar, playing cards till 3 a.m. with, a lot of great reporters. And he's been to Stillwater's with Patrick Fain Dye. You know what it's like. You cross those people, you are toast. But Oakley, who do you pay attention to nationally?
I mean, I think the main guy is Pete Thamel is mainly who I follow. I'm more watch like podcasts because I like, I'm driving, listen to a podcast on the way to class instead of more reporting. But Yeah, I think the top guys, Pete Thamel or Bruce Feldman.
I think it's a culmination, Rob, is what a lot of younger people are doing, and I think that's what you're seeing is the power of aggregation. Unfortunately, the way I ingest news is I set Perplexity AI to go gather my news sources and titles in the morning, and then I get a newspaper. I've just built a virtual newspaper for myself. It emails me in the morning, and I read it. I know, and then it's like, again, it's aggregation of all the things out there, and then delineating your own opinion, about what it is. And I think that's what it's been for a while, Kevin. I think what we've seen with this story, in a lot of ways, is really good for journalism, because there have been too many people just bottom feeding off of Twitter feeds and running for like, oh, I saw this post and that post, and they've been some sleuthy like internet I guess journalists or whatever. But I think this story is gone to show you that a lot of people reported a lot of things that were incorrect. Good people, because they saw a post or they saw that, or they saw like, oh, I saw this person posted, so I trust them. I saw that person posted and I trust them. But then it's like, wait a minute, was that a real account? I don't know if that was a real account. But then Twitter did something the other day where they revealed the location addresses of every one of these accounts, where you can see the origin of the account now. And now you can say, oh, well, maybe that was a opposite team's rival or whatever. And we saw the political side of that. I want to get into it. So the point is that, we have to do this as journalists, but you also now have to be shoe leather journalists again. You got to start making phone calls, right? Yeah. You got to start calling sources. You got to have relationships. You got to get out there, and you're not going to do that sitting on the internet. So it means you got to go to press conferences. You got to go and know what's going on. And who are those people, Kevin? Those people, and I'm answering questions in the chat as I'm talking here. But it's like, the people that know are the people that go every single day. It's their job, 40 hours a week, to cover this one team, even more. They talk about it at night in podcasts, and they go every single day to cover the beat.
Yeah, let me correct you, Kevin. He went easy. 40 hours a week. 80. I remember when I was a young TV reporter, WRBL News 3 on your side on 13th Street in Columbus, Georgia. I'll never forget. 6 o'clock news. One of our sports guys had been at a baseball game over in Auburn, came back and said, yeah, I heard from one of my folks at Auburn, Larry Chapman, who was at Auburn University Montgomery, would be named the basketball coach tonight. And they ran with that on the 6 o'clock news as they were announcing Tommy Joe Eagles was the new Auburn basketball coach.
Oops.
You couldn't put a big enough sack over your head. Kevin, that's why you got to be so careful.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is relationships.
Yeah.
You have to know people who know things, and you have to be able to trust them, and they have to be able to trust you. You have to be able to pick up the phone and call someone who would know if such and such is happening in a coaching search, or who could shoot it down and say that's not true at all. And you got to be able to call them and text them and have them respond to you in a timely fashion.
And trust.
And that takes time. That just takes, you don't develop those relationships overnight.
And trust you, right? That you're not going to give up the source just because everyone's pissed that you won't, and they think that you're going against your team, and you're not an Auburn Tiger, and you're not a Florida Gator because you reported this. Well, okay. Are you going to lie? I mean, I can lie.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not what we do.
Yeah.
So,
you got to do it right.
Yeah. But, with that being said, I just want to reset, because we had a very good person in the note on yesterday from Oxford. And I think, Rob, you should talk
Yancey Porter.
that. Can you reset him what Yancey Porter said yesterday, and tell everyone who he is and what he said on the show yesterday? I think it's very important.
Yeah, Yancey Porter Rebel Yell Hotline, Monday nights at 6 p.m. You can catch it, Memphis Sports 56 WHBQ, all over on Super Talk Mississippi. And Kevin, I know we're going to let you go in just a second before Dudley and Vince come on. And Oakley, stay with us if you can. But Yancey talked about all the stuff going on at Ole Miss. He said, look, it goes, allegedly, it was Layla Kiffin. He said Lane Kiffin and his wife are not back together.
Ex-wife.
Apparently they ex-wife. Yeah, ex-wife. Yeah, and that like one or two of the children and her may have gone to Gainesville, and then his brother Chris Kiffin's wife and one or two of their children went to Baton Rouge. That's what the story is. And he said people are really
not on either one of those flights, plans, or anything. He
said they landed at the Oxford airport. He goes, why didn't they just go to Batesville, Mississippi, which is 20 miles away? And there's a big Ole Miss booster over there who's maybe one of the biggest boosters in the history of college football, Mr. Dunlap. I mean, great man. They could have gone over there to that airport. He's got a jet, flies out. I mean, why didn't they do that? This is all for show. Yancey said he felt yesterday, and it could have changed today, 75% likely Lane Kiffin's gone. He goes, I don't know why he does this, but people are tired of it. He said, but he's a great football coach.
Yeah, but
they've given him everything he's asked for.
They said they're very upset in Oxford.
They're sick of it.
They're sick of it.
As they should be.
Well, I wasn't around whenever he left Tennessee, but I mean, he's the most hated man in Knoxville to this day with how he backdoored them. And now his whole PR team talked about him changing. And I mean, we talked about it earlier, how he's a family man. He's all mature now and he's healthy. And now he's about to do the same thing in Ole Miss.
And that's what Yancey Porter, who reports on the beat, who's there and for I don't know how many years, Rob, but at least over 15,
27
years. Okay, so he's reported on this team for 27 years. You tend to get to know people in the organization, and you tend to know things.
Yancey knows
on this show and said that yesterday that it's a 50-50 right now. That he thinks Lane's probably going to go to Florida, but he isn't sure. And he says, he said, but even he, does it. That's all he knows. And if anyone would know anything, it would be him. So. And he's out there publicly saying it. So if he's out there, he's not sharing anything that people don't already know. So we just lost Rob there. He'll be back in a second. Kevin, can you stay on? You're out. Are you done?
Yeah, I've got to run.
Okay.
But I'm glad we have football games in a couple of days that are, I've said this, Brendan and Oakley, I think this is as impactful a weekend with what's going to happen on the field and the dominoes that are going to fall off the field as we've ever seen in college football history. This weekend, what's happened really Friday and Saturday.
Dominoes. Yeah. SEC, that's what the name of the show, SEC Coaching Dominoes and Fall. Once it goes, it's going to be like, where's drink? Where's everyone going? The round robin. So, Kevin, tell everyone how they can follow you, how they can, you have another episode that we're dropping right after this show of Scarborough Knows. And then you have a live show tomorrow. Where can they read your stuff?
We'll push that tomorrow, since tomorrow is Thanksgiving. We'll push that back to Friday.
I mean, sorry, I don't have holidays. I don't work. I'm just constantly working.
I understand.
You have to tell me it's Christmas around here. I don't even know.
I got you. Best thing to do, I always tell people, follow me on Twitter /X at Kevin Scarbinsky. You can keep up with my columns in the Birmingham News. Find them on AL.com. You can find the podcast on the Sidelines.live network, also on YouTube, Kevin Scarbinsky _Scarbo Knows.
That's right.
So I hope all you guys and your families have a great Thanksgiving.
Now, what's your favorite? What's your favorite Thanksgiving? Before you go, you got to tell me your favorite Thanksgiving food.
My favorite food. Do I have to narrow it to one? I love turkey. I've seen people taking shots at turkey lately. I love turkey, but I'm a pecan. Is it pecan or pecan? Either way, that's my go-to. That's my go-to dessert with vanilla ice cream on top. I will die on that hill.
Love that.
And I may die if I eat too much of it tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
It's Kevin Scarbinsky. Happy Thanksgiving to you, sir. Thank you for everything. We love you. Kevin Scarbinsky, part of the family. Oakley, you got to go to class. You're not in class.
Nope. Thanksgiving break.
All right. So you hanging with us through the break, or are you going to be here? Okay, cool. We got Oakley, and we're going to bring in. We're just talking about how Mr. Lane Kiffin exited the University of Tennessee. I can't do the Rob thing, but I'm very short-winded. Vince Ferrara you do so much. Fall Network. We'll just go with that. Hello, Mr. Ferrara, and the secret bear in the background. That's sort of psycho.
There it is.
And then Mr. Dudley Dawson from InsideArkansas.com/hogville.net covers all things Arkansas, all things Razorbacks, and he's got a funny few quips in between. Rob is, I think, in witness protection. I'm not sure. We just lost him, so that's all right. He'll join us back. Oakley, I think you've met these gentlemen. We have been breaking down all the wonderful Lane Kiffin rumors and non-rumors and all that stuff, and we had a nice segue because we were just discussing about how Lane might have a little bit of narcissism inside that attitude. But nonetheless, we are sort of also looking at CFP. Dudley, you have been so patient. I like the glasses. How are you, sir? Welcome.
So does my wife, and that's what matters, matching.
It really softens your face.
I'm just waiting for them to name a coach up here. I'm sure they'll do it on Thanksgiving at 5 p.m. or something. The way they do things around here. But obviously, looking more and more like possibly Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator from Alabama, who was a student at Fayetteville High here, played for the Razorbacks a couple of years. That seems to be the way it's trending. But we'll see. These things, they tend to flip around at the end. So is like y'all, I'll just wait around and see what Lane does and then let everything go.
Dudley, I disappeared for a second. I'm back. I am back, aren't I?
Rob had to go to the bathroom.
No,
the white man Freddie had gotten.
I thought maybe one of the cats had pulled the cable out of the Starlink deal, but anyway, I don't know. I hit the wrong button. But welcome aboard, Vince Ferrara. Glad to see you back. Hope you're feeling better. Dudley Dawson, great stuff with Kevin Scarbinsky there. I was in Little Rock Wednesday and Thursday, and I went to lunch with our friend Jim McClellan that you've met, and John Hartwell. And it's like, who's the Arkansas coach going to be? We went to Doe's Eat Place in Little Rock there. God, that place is good. Got tamales and the chili. And went back in the Clinton room where Bill Clinton used to go hang out in the back there. It's pretty cool. Everywhere you go, there's something about Bill Clinton in Little Rock. But, I mean, these coaching searches, and Dudley, you always say, and Oakley, he's right. He doesn't traffic in rumors, and neither does Vince. Nothing really gets out. Dave Bartu said he's been involved in a lot of searches. Nothing ever gets out. So it's interesting. Vince, hop in here. It's rivalry week. We had Arkansas and Texas last weekend. That was a good game until late. This is the first time in history, guys, ladies and gentlemen, bowlers as well, that Vanderbilt and Tennessee are both ranked at the same time in this rivalry. How big is it going to be in Knoxville on the banks of the Tennessee River? I mean, this is really big.
Well, Tennessee fans are going to be fired up for sure because they want nothing to do with Vanderbilt in the college football playoff, one, and two, them having scoreboard for 365 days over them, which typically in history does not happen very often. But man, I'm sure Tennessee fans could not imagine having to hear from that fan base that they had a better season than you, they beat you, and they went to the college football playoff.
And Diego's mom danced on your logo.
Yeah.
Probably so.
Aside from the playoffs, I mean, I think the worst case for Tennessee is letting Diego Pavia walk into Knoxville, drop, 38 points, and you have to hear from him for the next, however many years.
Exactly. And then he would basically be backing up his comments in the offseason about how they're taking over the state. So then he could brag about that. And it would send Vanderbilt into another stratosphere in their program's history. Now, will they stay there? It will be difficult, but just getting there is incredible. Just the fact that they're even sniffing it is still hard to comprehend. And they'll be able to brag about it to Tennessee fans and across the country. And who knows, maybe start opening them up to get 5-star talent and that kind of stuff. So Tennessee wants nothing to do with that. They want to put Vanderbilt in their place that they typically are at. My co-host this morning was Kevin Simon, who was a great linebacker at Tennessee. Rob, you'll remember him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he played in the NFL as well. So and then we have Matt Sims on, a former Tennessee quarterback that works for Sirius XM and ESPN Radio. And both of them said, we don't lose to Vanderbilt. So that's the fan base. That's the former players. It's just the mindset. And there's plenty of motivation to keep Vanderbilt from having that scoreboard for the next year.
Yeah. Dudley, you think about it, this is WrestleMania type of stuff. I mean, Diego coming in to Knoxville Saturday. I mean, God.
Via boat. Coming in via boat.
Yeah. Couldn't you see him coming in?
Navy, yeah.
Yeah, in a dugout canoe, just he is ready. And I think Diego, I don't know if he's going to make it in the NFL. It doesn't really matter. But I mean, the Tennessee Vandy game, man, I mean, people are going to come out of the duck blind early for that one. Of course, we don't hunt past 10 o'clock anyway. But
yeah, this is somewhat similar to Arkansas and Arkansas State. Arkansas had to win that game, and did handily. It's actually the last one they won. I'm 62 now. I think the last Arkansas win was when I was like in my 50s. But that was one of the wins I thought they had to have. I didn't realize that was going to be the last one that they got. They won one game in Little Rock and one game in Fayetteville. Got another chance with Missouri here, and I guess by the time that Arkansas and Missouri play, that Missouri is going to have extended their coach's contract. I think that's what the board of curators are doing here this afternoon. So he'll have fun. He always.
No, Dudley. The thing is, Arkansas is with a good defense and some NIL money to fix the defense. They're probably a 9-win team right now.
Yeah, certainly more than a 2-win team. The name of the book on the season will be one score loss. Just what they've done a lot this year and had done a lot over the Sam Pittman era. But there's about sure appears we're about to have a new era here, and I'm anxious to move on to it. This is the second time I believe in 40 years that I've had a coaching search that lasted 10 weeks. Back when Jack Crow was fired after the
Citadel loss.
Citadel, yeah. So remember the Citadel is what they say up here, and I remember the Alamo. So
that's right. I remember Frank Broyles running down on the field and putting his arm around Jack Crow, and it was all over.
Yeah.
he was gone. Vince, I'm going to start going fast. Vince, Oak, and then Dudley. Rapid fire. What are you seeing that you love the most about college football this season in the SEC? What is it? The parity? Is it what?
I'd say the close games. Yeah, the parity. That's made it fun. You can't assume anything each week. I mean, Tennessee's been in some close games. Pretty much everybody has been in close games with teams they're not supposed to. I mean, Arkansas, Dudley was talking about that with the one-score games, Texas A&M and Tennessee, and down the line. There's been so many of them in the Southeastern Conference. So that's probably the most noteworthy thing about this year is the level of one-score games.
Yeah, I agree. I think the parity it's brought into the SEC, because even you look at an 0-7 Arkansas. How many close games have they played? Auburn's 1-6 in the conference. How many games have they played? In South Carolina, I mean, they're 1-7. They had probably the two teams that'll be playing in the SEC championship on the ropes. So, I mean, I think it's no matter. There's really, we've said this for years, but there is no free game in the SEC this year, and that's just how I think it'll set up for the future as well.
And I'm going to look back on the South Carolina Texas A&M game, thinking, man, look how Texas A&M is dropping the ball on this one. This is going to cause a lot of confusion, and then, they scored a touchdown. Here they come. Yeah. Here they come.
I think we just lost. I think we lost both of them.
Well, Oakley, I think, and just a quick word on Tennessee and Florida last week. That game was not an assumed win for Tennessee. I know people looked at the record of it, but I had a hard time believing that Tennessee would play well in Gainesville. It had been since 2003, but even when you looked at separated and looked beyond just that streak, Tennessee had not been playing their best ball, but they played their most complete game. So I think that's another thing that has kind of turned the corner and increased the belief for Tennessee fans going into this Vanderbilt game is they've finally seen Tennessee play a good game, check a box, and not having won in Gainesville since 2003. Had they lost that game, it would have taken some steam off of this Vanderbilt game, but it's been reinvigorated by what they did in Gainesville, even if the college football playoff is out of their realistic reach.
All right, so we saw the playoff rankings come out last night, and Dudley, you got to be asking this question. I'm sure you are. Hunter Yurachek, the athletic director at Arkansas. He's from Richmond, Virginia, I believe, came to Arkansas from Houston. Shouldn't he be focused on finding Arkansas football coach? Or, as Dave Bartu said on our show Monday, I think 3, maybe all these SEC coaching searches have been done, some of them for 2 or 3 weeks. So he's already got it done. so he can go be Bob Eubanks, the dating game, the CFP show last night.
He's gotten a lot of criticism from inside the state on how he's handled that. I mean, first of all, I guess it's cool when you get to be that, put that on your resume. I mean, that's pretty cool. But I've been doing that 6'7" stuff a little bit, and when he did it last night, I was like, so that's what I look like when I'm doing it. It's no matter who they hire here. If that person doesn't turn out to be a good coach, or it doesn't work out here, he'll get the blame for it. And if the coach comes in and wins, that coach will get the credit for it. He's in an unenviable position in that if he makes a great hire, he's not going to get credit for it. That's just how it happens around here.
Vince, Tennessee right now, Joey Aguilar, is he petitioning to come back again next year on the Pavia rule? And if he does, is Merklinger going to stick around from Savannah Christian?
Well, it is a big topic of conversation around here, and honestly, anyone that says they know how it's going to play out is strictly guessing or taking a side or speaking on hope. Yeah. We had Brent Hubbs from VolQuest on, and Heath Schuler is a weekly guest with us, VFL great, and he was in politics, so I think he understands how the legal system works also. Yeah. And look, it's going to depend on who the judge is. So we don't know who that's going to be. So how can you make a determination? Depends on who gets assigned that case and what else may have played out before that. But he's not talking about that. But there have been the reports that he has joined in to that lawsuit, and then seeing how that case plays out. So he would like to get another year. He's meant so much to this Tennessee football team. If he wasn't the quarterback, there'd probably be about a 500 team and below 500 in the SEC. Yeah. And he's been an absolute difference maker, perfect for this offense and their evolution. And look, if he comes back, somebody's probably going to go. Merklinger would seem, even though I have no information on this, he would seem like the most likely candidate to leave because he would be entering his third year without still having played. Now the starting quarterback is back. Those are the kind of quarterbacks that transfer. You just don't want it to be Faison Brandon, as many outlets deem as the number one recruit. I think he's going to be an absolute star. So it might be best case scenario to where you don't have to force him onto the field in year one, give him a year to kind of get acclimated, and then in year two, run with him as your guy. I think he's more ready to play than Nico was. He's more physically ready also than Nico was, who's super skinny. So, that's the best case scenario. And then you have still another highly rated guy if he sticks around in George McIntyre, the true freshman. I guess he could leave also. But Merklinger would be the one that you would wonder that could take off if Aguilar comes back.
Well, January 2nd date, when everybody and their dog gets in the portal, is going to be nuts.
Yeah, It's going to be a run on the bank. I mean, Oakley, there are two things we got to get past. One of them is TBS, Tommy Boy syndrome. I mean, college for 7 years. I mean, at some point, these guys have got to move their asses on. And number two, Oakley, I could imagine you going to your mom and dad and saying, I want to petition for a 5th or a 6th year. They'd be like, you're out of here, wouldn't they? I mean, by the way, girls, they get done with college in 4 years. Yeah, I don't think you ever see a girl 5th or 6th year. I was a double red shirt at Auburn, 6 years, but switched my major a few times. But once I really dialed in and focused, I was out of there, and I was so ready to get to work. I mean, first interview I had, I got hired. So, your thoughts?
Well, I think how are you going to blame a college football player who maybe doesn't have a professional future? Like maybe let's say Diego Pavia will probably be a late round draft pick. Why would you blame him for staying another year in college, getting paid $2 million? I mean, that's not a player problem. That's a college football problem. If you want it to stop, it has to start at the top. So you can't ever blame the player because, I mean, they're living the life. That's the best job. You're making $1 million playing college sports.
I mean, Oakley, could you imagine Vince, Dudley, when we were freshmen in college, having $1.5 million in your checking account? I mean, how do you get out of bed in the morning?
You don't. You have somebody do that for you, whatever you were going to do that day. If you've got $1 million, that's the way I think I'd do it. Having been a thousandaire, it's been a little bit different for me. So, but yeah, I mean, Oakley's right. There's so many guys who are making better money playing football or standing on the sideline and watching others play football than they are out in the business world right now. I mean, it's scary out here.
Yeah, Vince.
Let me just say this about the portal. You mentioned January 2nd. Believe me, starting whenever games end this week, Thanksgiving week, that's when you're going to start hearing players announcing on their social media that they're going to the portal. So the portal announcements aren't going to wait till January 2nd. That's when they just officially hit the portal.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching Twitter of Arkansas players in the second half.
It could be somebody that didn't get the start or benched or not getting the snap. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you can make an announcement anytime you want, and they're going to the portal. Unless something happens, you turn around and give a guy a deal that he might have been leveraging for. So there are exceptions, but generally it's the players that will announce that they're going to the portal, not seeing that list on January 2nd.
Yeah, and the run on the bank, yeah, it'll be. Oakley's right. The adults have got to take back control. Mm-hmm. This like the 10-week coaching search at Arkansas, it's just clouded the whole season. I really wish we could get back to focusing on the games that are being played. And I mean, this weekend we've got all these rivalry games. Georgia Tech, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Georgia Tech sold that game for $10 million. Can't blame them. It's 2 miles down the street, down 85, right there to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Golly, and there'll be a gazillion people there.
And you can get a Chick-fil-A sandwich because it's not going to be on Sunday. So
That's right. That's right. And great point. I agree.
And I heard Rick Neuheisel talk about how, look, these things are fixable. Oakley's right. This is the grown-ups problem in this setup, not the players. The coaching changes. Like, I hate James Franklin being hired during the year while we're still playing this season. Like, it's just he's on the sideline. It's not right. And so if you change the calendar and move signing day back and move the portal back, now maybe you lose spring practice. Hey, people aren't playing spring games anyway. And players wouldn't have to skip out on their senior years of high school or the last half of high school and skipping prom and all that. Then they can stay in school because they don't have to rush in to sign with their schools. Push everything back. Let them finish out high school and that part of their lives that they won't regret missing, and then have the calendar. The coaching changes won't have to be rushed in because of signing day. So they could fix that, and it goes on and on to moving everything back and have some OTAs.
You quit making sense over there. You quit making sense.
Yeah, I know.
No, there's the perfect models right in front of us. Just look at the NFL. That's what college football is now, like it or not. It's free agency in the transfer portal. Now you've got a whole playoff system. The model's right there. That's all I have to copy. Nick Saban said it perfectly on game day. What if we just made Nick Saban the commissioner?
Well, I asked Rick Neuheisel about it. And he said he'd love to be commissioner. I had him on the show, I think 5 times. And, Brendan used to caddy for him at Castle Pines out there.
Oh, really?
In Colorado. Brendan was caddy for like 15 years. He knows a lot of people. But I like Neuheisel. He has a law degree.
Yeah.
From McClintock, in Phoenix. And his son, we know the story at UCLA. Right. Rick Neuheisel is just a damn good person. I really like him. And when he comes on the show, he's so good. But he's doing a show right at the same exact time as us right now. And it's a great show. And I listen to it a lot. I think you made so much sense. All 3 of y'all have. And you know what? All they got to do is just, let's put Ward Cleaver in charge. I mean, just common sense, and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. And let me say again, folks, we are so blessed to have unbelievable sponsors and guests. Inside Arkansas, snap QR to read Dudley Dawson. Read what he says. It's like lifting weights with your brain. A lot of people don't do that. You need to read a lot. Read the whole story. Don't skip it.
Maybe I'll even tell you about the Parliament Funkadelic concert I went to last night.
Yeah.
Fan.
Where was that?
That was
At
fun.
the at the arena or at the National Guard Army?
No, it was actually at the Ozark Music Hall. I needed the funk. I got the funk. So that's the best
right.
thing about this coaching search so far. So
There's
Yeah.
probably wrestling at the National Guard Armory, I think.
Wrestling, Vince. WRASSLA at the National Guard Armory in McNairy County, Tennessee, in Selmer. That's right, where all the Hams are from. Grandma Ham, my wife's family. Look, guys, awesome stuff today. Thank you so much for your patience. We had a little turbulence getting up in the skies right now. I had to go through a couple of thunderstorms. Wheels are down. We're about to land. Oak, the intern, is going to start working with us on Instagram. So when we do stuff on this show, Oak is going to help us get into that venue. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. There's TikTok. There's a lot. But I'm going to tell you one thing. We have the best producer in the world and the best guests. So happy Thanksgiving to all y'all, as they say in the South. And thank you more than you know for sharing your time with us and our audience. Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Wait. Oakley, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food? Pick one. Gun to your head. Go.
Fruitcake.
Green bean casserole.
Disgusting. Okay, Vince, next.
Anything my mom cooks, but I'll say her mashed potatoes.
Okay, yeah, that's a
all
winner.
gratin potatoes mixed up with turkey.
Yeah, Rob.
Turkey, dressing, stuffing. I love it all.
Rob, you got to pick one.
Okay. I'm going to take my smoked turkey from Vanelli's Deli. Charles Vanelli, I'm picking it up today before 3 o'clock. And my sweet potato casserole.
Oh, God.
Smoked turkey.
I hate smoked things.
Vanelli's Deli does it. They could smoke this stick in my hand.
Mashed potatoes, gravy with some dressing, right there. That's the money right there. That's what I'm looking for. Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody! Love you guys.
We'll do it again next week.
I am so thankful for you, Rob. Thank you so much.
Thankful to have all of y'all as well. Look, let me say this. We'll be back Friday morning. We'll talk to Christ, at least among us. Reach out and help all the food pantries and places wherever you can. Find ways to help. That's what we're here to do. And to all of our sponsors, Hewlett and Dunn, Rumble Boxing Gym, ImpForPros.com, Landers Ford. Find them all on our website, sidelines.live. Happy Thanksgiving. See you Friday morning. Again, thank you for watching and sharing.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night.